Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John G. Williams.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning into another episode of Bravery Within. I wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to all of you out there for making the podcast there such a hit. We're growing all the time, actually faster than what I ever intended it to be. I wanted to say thank you for that so very much. It means the world that you're recommending us to friends, family, co-workers. You're sharing stuff on Facebook. We're getting a lot more likes. We're getting a lot more listens. I just wanted to say thank you for making this podcast such an important piece of, even if it's only 45 minutes of your life, you're still intertwining this podcast into your normal everyday hectic life. So I wanted to say thank you very much for doing that. It means the world to me. And just wanted to get that there before we started on our episode today. Today I thought we would probably go through a couple things there, basically mental-wise. There's so much that's going on in our lives. It's hard to keep up with. It's hard to try to stay in the straight and narrow and keep your mind in a positive aspect. So that's why today, episode 15 is called Mind Games. I wanted to basically try to help you a little bit there with everything that you're going through, and not just always just on the weight loss journey, but this hopefully will help a little bit there with your everyday life and everything that you're going through. So some of the subjects that we're going to talk about today on the podcast are the negative thoughts your brain will do to you while on your weight loss journey, learning to have positive thoughts and a positive way of life. And the final section that we're going to be talking about today will be take that vacation you so desperately need and have earned. So if I think we've got it all figured out, let's see what we can do here with this episode. First section that we're going to talk about is the negative thoughts your brain will do to you. I've covered this a couple times, but I wanted to go a little bit more into it there. I've been talking to a couple people there that listen to the podcast, and they've been giving me their feedback. And one thing that they're really, really surprised on, being that I'm such an introvert, I've been locked up my whole life. I don't share anything. I just stay private. It's just who I am. And they've brought it to my attention that I'm actually very, very open. The information I'm bringing, basically, it's like splaying myself open and showing everybody who I truly am. They're completely blown away with me doing that, and I have to honestly say I'm kind of shocked too. But if I'm hoping for you guys to be honest with yourselves and honest with me, I have to be honest with you. So I thought, today, we're going to talk about just the negative thoughts, the positive thoughts, everything that you're going to go through with your weight loss journey. So I wanted to say that, basically to lead out this podcast is I grew up with a family member that loved to play mind games on us. We were constantly tormented with, how worthless we were or how dumb we were or, wish we were never born. And there's so many bad things that go on. And the problem was that everybody else that saw this person thought that he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, it's a whole different ballgame when you close that door and you're inside the home. Things are completely different. So for 18 years of my life, and actually longer than that, I moved out there when I was 19. It was just, everything was just beat into you that, you're bad, you'll never amount to anything, you're worthless. And all of those negative thoughts stayed with me for so many years. And I had my son Alex when I was 20. And one thing that I wanted to do different was I wanted to make sure that I didn't instill that negativity into him. I didn't want him to think less of himself. So I had to go back to the book basically and try to figure out, okay, what were some of the best things that I learned from that person? What are some of the worst things that I learned from that person? And try to do my best to stay away from the worst things. It wasn't easy. There's been a lot of programming and reprogramming of my own mind. Like I said before, I'm in my late 40s and it's still it still rings my ear. Now, I've done a pretty good job on reprogramming my mind and not thinking that way anymore. But it's really difficult to move on and try to be a better person. So the negative thoughts that were constantly running through my mind when I made a decision, or if I wanted to try something, or just sometimes just sitting there watching TV, these negative thoughts and these emotions and everything else would just run through me. And it was like, I don't know how to do it. It's kind of like the voice that's in the back of your head that says, go ahead and eat that lemon meringue pie. Go ahead and have that extra Mountain Dew. Go ahead and have all those extra cookies and, brownies and everything else. Well, that little voice is unrelenting. Even with going through everything that I'm going through with this weight loss journey, he won't give up. And it's like, my goodness. So I kind of ran into the same thing with all these negative thoughts. And when I started out, I realized that, honestly, and I don't know if it was the truth or not, but it was, I think that one of the things that really helped sabotage my weight loss journeys back then, and why I never could get through them. I looked at food the same way. I felt like I was starving to death. Like, okay, well, I'll lose the weight and then I can go back to the way I ate. And that's just not the truth. You have to basically be going down this road the rest of your life. And I wasn't in the right mindset at that point to make that determination, to make that decision, to fully accept, okay, no matter what I do, I can't go back to this way of eating. I can't go back to that way of life. So I honestly think, and with all the stress that I was going through and all the hard times that I was going through, it just wasn't the right time to do this. Now, I'm not saying my life's any easier by any means, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to keep the house going, pay the bills, get the food in the house, take care of my puppy, my family, and then hold down a job while maintaining everything else. There's always so much, and it's overwhelming. And I'm sure most of you out there can attest that it is overwhelming. And the older you get, the thing that I'm learning is it's getting harder and harder to do and keep up with everything. I mean, I can't keep up with these young whippersnappers anymore. And that's a really, really hard thing to accept as a man, because we have our man pride, and I admit it. And I try to keep mine to a minimum. I try to do really good with that. But it was instilled in me, from the moment that I could start understanding things, is the man takes care of the family. He takes care of his wife. He takes care of his, it doesn't matter if you have a boyfriend or what it is. You're just responsible for taking care of the home, providing, the food, the money, everything's taken care of. And it was just ingrained in you. Like I said, I have old-fashioned beliefs, and that's one of the biggest things that a man is supposed to do, is provide for his family. But it was really, really hard to do with all this negativity. I admit, all the negative thoughts that would run through my mind, even in just an hour, I wouldn't have enough paper on the face of this earth to write down all the negative thoughts, let alone what I was thinking on a daily basis. So I was so afraid that was really sabotaging my journey. And honestly, I think it had something to do with it. So I knew, leading right out of the shotgun with this new weight loss journey, I had to change my mentality. I had to look at things different, had to see things differently, and it was actually really difficult to do. And honestly, I'm still working on that. I'm not 100%. I'm not there yet for where I want to be mentally, but I'm trying. I have a very patient family, patient friends that are allowing me to basically rewire my brain to see things differently. I used to hold on to grudges horribly. It's one of the traits of a Taurus is, man, when we lock our heels in and we hold a grudge, it's like, good luck trying to get us to move. You'll be able to move the earth long before you'll get us to change. And there were times, I held on to grudges for over 30 years. Some of those grudges is like, why am I upset with this person? Why am I still angry with them? I couldn't even hardly remember who they were, let alone what they did to me 30 years ago. It was so stupid. I mean, it was just like, it was draining my positive energy, my good energy that I needed to help get me through my weight loss journey. So I had to go back and just, and it come back to doing a lot of forgiveness. And it's like, I'm forgiving people that we haven't spoke in 20 years. They don't even probably remember who I am. And yet I'm holding on to these grudges. It's almost like for every grudge that you hang on to, it's almost like poison that runs through your body. And the more grudges, the more hatred, and the more everything that you build up, when you wish for bad things to happen to people, all of that stuff really turns into poison inside you, and it just slowly eats and deteriorates your inside. It'll eat up all your good energy, your good karma. And I know that may sound kind of funny, but it's the truth. And it took me a long time to figure that one out. I admit I'm very stubborn. I'm very bullheaded. When I get something in my mind, it's very hard to get me to change. And anybody that knows me, in my personal life, my family and friends, every one of them are probably on the other side of the speaker here and stuff, and screaming at it and say, "Yes, you are." And I admit it, and that there takes a lot of courage just to admit that. So, it's, for the most part there, I just don't recommend hanging on to grudges. Find a way to forgive the people, mainly because it's all negative, bad things. I believe in karma. I know karma will come around and level the playing field. So the more hateful things that you do and say and wish for, unfortunately, it's probably going to come back to you tenfold. So going through with these negative thoughts, it's really, 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 really a good thing to get rid of it and do everything. We're always going to have negative thoughts. Don't get me wrong. There's no way you can 100% get rid of them. But even if you can take them down to 90%, that's an incredible accomplishment, and that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm probably maybe 75%. Like I said, I'm still a work in progress myself. I'm still going through this journey myself. I'm still learning myself. I don't have this all figured out. I am just trying to help my extended family, try to get through their weight loss journey and maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that you went through. But another old-fashioned value that, that I try to live by is treat others as how you would like to be treated. I know that's taken quite a beating with all the folks that are very, very all about themselves. They're very, very mean. They're very, they're just, most of them out there are just, to be honest, they're probably just scared. And because life is overwhelming, the world is absolutely terrifying right now with everything that we're hearing about possibly going to war and recession. And, there's so many bad things that are out there. It's very, very easy to start down the road of negative thought. It's kind of like once you start going down that road, it's kind of like going down a dark alley. At some point, turning around isn't going to do any good for you. So the best thing to do is to avoid all of that negative thinking, so that way you don't, you just don't have it building up inside you. Anger, fear, shame, and other unpleasant emotions, when they come up, work through them right away and just try to push them out of your way and think of something positive. So otherwise, I honestly think, and it did for me, once you get stuck in negative thought patterns, what they do then at that point is worsen your anxiety and your depression, and then basically you see everything in a negative light. And your overall health is going to take the hit for it. And I admit that mine did. I mean, there's a reason why I was over 300 pounds extra fat on me, is because I was trying to eat my emotions. And that all goes back to negative thinking. And I still work on a negative self-talk. It all comes around to, bite you in the tuchus at some point. So you have to try to stay away from it as much as you can. And like I said, I'm not perfect at this. I'm not saying that, I'm a saint and I need to go into the, into the church and say, because I'm perfect, because I'm not, that just isn't going to happen. That's not me. So some of the things that I went back to and I had to figure out, is I knew there was negative thoughts, but I didn't exactly know how to basically, what were they? I didn't know how to give them a form. I didn't know how to understand them. So I went and to help myself, and I'm hoping some of these help you, to basically identify causes of negative thinking. And some of these there, I'm hoping that you don't do, but I'm afraid that it's probably like me, you do a lot of these. And some of these, they get so instinctual and habitual that you just automatically do them anymore. You've done them for so long, you just don't know the difference. So, like the first one is overanalyzing and indecisiveness. When making important decisions, it is wise to take your time to consider your options. However, assessing the alternatives can evolve into obsessing about them, and I've done that myself. Don't get me wrong. Basically, set yourself a reasonable time to look into it. Make sure that you're making the best choice that you can. Don't instantly jump into whatever you're going to do, try to figure out the pros and cons of everything. That has actually helped me a little bit there. Impulse buying kind of goes on with that there. I used to do a lot of that, and I try not to anymore, but I'm not the best at it. It's kind of like, oop, that's on the shelf. Oop, that's mine. And I bring it home. So overanalyzing, being in management, I made sure that once I made a decision, it was done. There was no reason to go back and worry about it or think about it. It was done. The decision's done, whatever. And whatever the ramifications are, I had to take them. I made that decision, so guess what? Everything that goes right along with that decision, I had to bear the consequences of. And that's something I think this world doesn't do enough of anymore, is when you make a decision, you stand there and you accept the consequences of your decision. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's been for, good grief, probably since the beginning of time. I don't know. I haven't been around that long. I'm old, but I ain't that old. So that could be some, I think people need to take responsibility for, their decisions. It's not easy. I mean, I've lost 2 jobs because of it. But you know what? I've bounced back, and here I come again, and I just keep right on rolling. Another one there basically is outward directed anger. I used to do a lot of this when I was younger and stuff. Tauruses have horrible tempers, horrible tempers. And that's one thing that I was really, really good about, is taking it out on a family member or a friend. And I come to find out that there was many times that, then I got told that I was scaring the heck out of people. All my negative feelings would come out. I would lash out at people. I had to find a healthier approach, basically, to deal with these emotions. And it's taken me a lot of time. It's taken me decades to figure out how to do this. It wasn't an overnight thing by any way, shape, or form, but you'll get there if you work at it, always trying to make forward progress. Some people there for negative thinking, they fear the future. This, to me, I can understand where you're afraid of the future, but I've come to kind of feel that, hey, it's kind of like a gift. Every day that you wake up, it's not guaranteed. I mean, you could go to sleep and not wake up. Every day is really a gift. And I've learned that by losing family members, by losing my mom. I look around and I realize, I'm grateful for being able to have another day with my son, another day with my family and friends. So fearing the future just doesn't do any good. Actually, I welcome it now, because when you get to my age, you start noticing that you have more days behind you than you do in front of you. So you have to start enjoying things a little more. So the fear of the future, you could what if yourself to death with fear of the future. I'm trying to do better, and I have done better. But I'm still, like I said, a work in progress. Another one is negative self-criticism, negative self-talk. I am not the best at this. I'll admit. I'll do something dumb, and I'm the first one to chew myself out. If I make a mistake at work or home, I'm the first one to chew myself out. My boss could never be harder on me than what I am on myself. So really, really watch the negative self-talk. You can really get in deep with it. And I already hear everybody, all my friends and family on the other end saying, yeah, well, take your own advice. Well, it's not advice. I'm trying to rebuild my life, and I'm trying to reprogram. So the negative self-talk's got to go with it. I'm not the best at it, but I'm working on it. Lack of self-confidence. That's one thing I'm not arrogant by any way, shape, or form. I'm hoping that comes through with these podcasts. But the lack of self-confidence is very, very easy. When you get tore down your entire life, when you get beat up, when you're bullied, all of that stuff, that all lends into, the lack of self-confidence. So what you have to do is you have to try to find positive things to help continue to build your self-confidence. And it takes time. You got to have some wins. You got to have, you got to be there a little bit. It's just, there's a lot that goes behind it. And all I'm letting you know is, it's okay to be confident. And one thing that I always think that if I have some confidence, then I'm being arrogant. Well, that's 2 completely different things. And I'm trying to figure that out myself. Because I don't want to be. I'm not better than anybody else in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to get through life the easiest way that I know, while putting in 100% into my job, my life, and everything there. So another way of negative thinking would be jumping to conclusions. This is very, very easy to do. You can kind of get into the gossip of work and stuff there, so you can jump to a conclusion to think, well, I heard it this way, so that's what this must mean. It's really not. So if there's it's something that's bothering you and you want to know about something, best thing to do is just ask straight up the person you want to know it from. It's not the easiest way, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it all goes towards to, the more negativity you have, the harder it's going to be to get through your weight loss journeys. So self-blame, taking the responsibility for everything, just doesn't work either. You have to step up to the plate when you make a decision, and there are times when you make that decision, everything that goes with it, good or bad, you have to accept the responsibilities. But blaming yourself for, say, a country starving to death, or half the population is out of money, that's too far. That's too much. You can't put that on your shoulders. But just learning what to accept and what not to accept is good. That can be positive and negative. The problem is most of us go way too far to one side, and it turns into negativity. So you just have to be a little bit careful there. Labeling, that's one thing I have to admit. Basically, labels are simple judgments that we pass on ourselves, usually to a negative effect. After an emotional breakup, you might say, I'm just no good at relationships. The feeling can normally justify a lack of effort in future relationships. Basically, you're knocking yourself down, and don't think that way. I mean, you can't, everything's not black and white, unfortunately. There's some gray areas once in a while, and I don't like operating in gray areas, but sometimes, unfortunately, that's the only option you have to get through life. So all I can say there is, with all the negativity that's in the world, there's no reason to put more on your shoulders. We already have enough to go through. There's enough people. Work already takes enough out of us, and I'm lucky because I only work 40 hours a week. That's all I'm allowed to work. But I know there's plenty of people, like my son works 55, 60 hours a week, and they're always asking for more. I have been this is the first job in years that I haven't been allowed overtime. Otherwise, for probably the past 25 years, overtime's been required. I had to work 55, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week because I was managing a store and didn't have the personnel. There was problems. There was, I thought I was, basically, if I wasn't there, the place was going to burn down, was going to fall apart. It doesn't work that way. Just let me tell you, after 30 years in management, it just doesn't work that way. Yes, you can be an important cog in the wheel. There's no arguments there. But just one person isn't going to tear down a company. I mean, it just doesn't, unless, you're trying to go burn the place down. Well, I guess that's a little different, but I don't really recommend it. You might want to stay away from that one. But just try to do your best to walk away. If you're feeling yourself going into a negative spiral, find yourself somebody positive to be around. Sit around. When I get that way, as you can hear my puppy, there's a caller right now. She's jumping on me and stuff while I'm doing the podcast. When you do that there, just spend a few minutes there. The pups there and stuff there, it's like they're just unlimited with positivity and love. I'm not quite sure how they're built that way, but they are. So just do whatever you can to try to keep yourself out of those negative thoughts and negative spaces, because it's very, very easy to always put yourself in a negative situation. So always try to find the positive. And like I said, I'm not perfect at this by any way, shape, or form, but I keep trying so I can be better for my family. So basically, that is going to lead into the second part of the podcast, learning to have positive thoughts and a positive way of life. The negative side, I wanted to start out right away and stuff, because all my podcasts, I do everything I can to keep them positive, and I wanted to make sure that we ended on a positive note. So I realize that this tough, cold, and unrelenting world is becoming increasingly tough to be positive and see all the good stuff in life. But one thing that, that I try to do is with my home and stuff, everything is very light, very, there's stones, there's crystals, we cleanse the house. And you can think that some of the weirdest things, if you want to, you can think, gee, mini crickets, that stuff doesn't work. Well, contrary to popular belief, it actually does, because anybody that comes into my house feels immediately like the pressure's off of them, the darkness is off of them. They just feel, for the first time in a long time, they can actually just sit and relax. And that's the way I want my house, so that way, because out in the world, you get beat up so bad. So this is my way of staying positive. allowing myself to stay away from all the negative thoughts, the self-talk, anything that I can do. I try to keep out, and the stones and the crystals, they help with that. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's fine, and I'm not here to convince you that they do work. They do work, but it took me a long time to understand them as well. This is my way of basically protecting my good energy and protecting my good thoughts, and it works for me. Now, whatever you do for you, that's completely up to you. So just know that, I used to be a pessimist, I'll be honest, many years ago. Probably 15 years ago, I hated everyone and everything around me. I couldn't stand anything. I went through a divorce. I'd lost so much. Basically, there was so much going on in my life back then that I didn't care. And it took me a long time, and it probably took me a couple years and a lot of self-introspection to relearn who I am and rewire my brain to say, you know what, all this negativity, I bet I put on 50 pounds from the divorce because I was eating my emotions. And I realized that, okay, this isn't working. I mean, my shirt sizes were going up, my pant sizes were going up. That would make me depressed, and then I would just get upset and just say, oh, well, forget it. I don't need to worry about anything because I got nobody to impress, and I'll never have anybody in my life. And all of that is negative self-talk. All of that was just another way of basically beating myself down to keep myself where I was just feeling worthless. I didn't feel I would. Nobody wanted to be around me. I didn't want to be around anybody. So it took a while to turn that negativity into a positive outlook and a positive mindset. It doesn't mean that I'm seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. Let's be honest. I know what's out there. I've seen it. It's terrifying. But what I'm doing is I'm doing my very, very best to see the good in everybody and everything to try to keep my stress and anxiety levels down. There is, every time I turn around, if you look, there's actually a lot of good things going on. This morning when I was leaving the convenience store and grabbing my breakfast and stuff, I had my hands completely full, and there was a very nice gentleman that opened up the door. And I said, thank you, and I hope you have a great day. And you should have seen the smile on his face. I mean, it was almost like, ooh, okay, wow. Just that kind of little bit of positivity, I hope, helped him on his day as well, because he was nice to me. He didn't have to stand there and hold the door open for me, but I thought it was fantastic. It was like, oh, that is so nice. So if you choose to see the positives, you're going to see them. And one thing that has taken me years to learn is if you keep yourself in a positive, basically, mindset. I'm not saying that I can 100%. I don't think anybody can, as much as you try. But if you try to hedge the bets your way and be positive more often than negative, then really I honestly think things are going to start going a little bit better for you. You're going to see things differently. You're going to choose to see the good in people. Sometimes even when it's not there, I'll be honest. I mean, I still get burned. I mean, I trust people and they end up taking me to the cleaners for either money or just trust values or anything like that. And I hate to say that, but unfortunately, unfortunately, that's just the way they are. I can't change them, but I can change how I respond to them. And that's what I try to do all the time. I always try to find the good in them. Even when I don't think there's anything there, I still try a little bit to see, okay, there's got to be some good in there. Now, whether they're ever going to give it up and show that they are good, that's on them. I can't control that. That's their lives. That's the way it's going to go. But for me, I know that I'm trying and do the best, so that's why I stay positive and actually, do everything that I absolutely can to make my life a little bit better. It helps with my weight loss. I find I don't have to eat as much. I'm not eating my feelings. I'm losing weight. And then by that, then you start seeing your clothes go down. You can fit into chairs a little bit easier. Like me, like I said in one of the previous podcasts, I can get into my truck now, and there's room between the steering wheel and my stomach. I didn't have that before when I had the truck. I mean, basically it was Dunlopping over the steering wheel, and I was fighting it to turn the wheel. Now I'm doing so well that I can slide into the truck, slide out, and my tummy doesn't hit the steering wheel anymore. So to me, that's amazing. Those are the little things that I focus on to keep myself going. But just so you know, so you kind of have an idea what the characteristics and traits of a positive mindset are. And these are the ones that I try to do every day to try to keep going. There's 6 of these that I found, and they're fantastic because I didn't even know that I was living by these, but I guess maybe it comes up to the old world thinking, so it was just kind of ingrained into my old head. But the first one is optimism, a willingness to make an effort, and take a chance instead of assuming your efforts won't pay off. Optimism is it can be very tough, but I try to stay, instead of being a pessimist, I try to be an optimist. And sometimes, yes, I'm a realist where, okay, well, realists can go either way, but I always try to stay optimistic to the best of my abilities. It's not easy because as you get older, one thing that you get is you get real world experience, and you start realizing that, okay, well, if I make this decision, I know this is going to happen. Or if I decide to go this route, I know this is what's going to happen. Well, the problem is sometimes you can get stuck in a rut, and it's just like, okay, I'm just not going to make any decisions. I'm just going to stay in my little lifeboat that's going to stay in between the shores, not take any risks, and I just won't experience life. Well, optimism is going to give you the courage to make the decisions and move forward with your life, because it's so very easy to stall out with your life and just say, forget it, I'm done, chuck my weight loss journey out the window. I'm just not going to do it, and become a pessimist and see the bad sides to everything. Optimism, you see the good sides to everything, and I do my best to try to basically look at things, and I try to do the best that I can because I know that my family relies on me and my friends rely on me. Another trait that I find is acceptance, which means acknowledging that things don't always turn out how you want them to, but you learn from those mistakes. Acceptance is actually really, really hard. This is a big step. And I admit 3 years ago, thanks to COVID, I lost my business. I lost all my savings. I went 80 grand into debt. I lost my truck, everything. You name it, I lost it all. During that time, I lost my puppy. 2 years before that, I lost my mom. A year before that, I lost my dad. It's just, there was so much going on that I didn't have time to process and accept everything that happened to me. I was very bitter about losing my business thanks to everything, but unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. There's nothing that you can say otherwise. But accepting what happens to you can help you actually heal faster. It took me some time to figure that one out, and I have now accepted, okay, well, that's what happened. Well, there's a reason, because it led me to this podcast. So I get to talk to you guys and try to, impart some of the things that I've learned, and in the hopes that it'll help you out. But acceptance is probably one of the toughest things, I think, to do. That's like taking a step forward, and it's like forgiving somebody. Sometimes it's very difficult, but in the end, I think it really actually helps you and helps the healing. Resilience is another trait, bouncing back from adversity, disappointment, and failure instead of giving up. And as I've said many times in other podcasts, I prefer to be a survivor and not a victim. It's very easy to become a victim and say, oh, everybody's against me, oh, everything hates me, oh, it's never going to work out, blah, 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 blah. I don't see it that way. I see myself as a survivor. Yes, I got beat up. Yes, I got knocked down. Yes, I got kicked around. But you know what? I'm going to be resilient, bounce back, and here I come. I'm going to take another run at this. It's hard, but honestly, I think that's a very, very positive one, because your healing speeds up at that point and allows you to get back to your life. Otherwise, you get basically kind of stalled out and nothing happens. So another one there is gratitude. Being basically appreciative of everything that you have. And that's one thing I talked about in another podcast, was I always try to be very, very appreciative for everything I have. I'm happy for my house. I'm happy for my puppy. I'm happy for my family. I'm just when I wake up in the morning, it doesn't mean that that's guaranteed. So I'm very grateful for everything that is in my life currently. And sometimes it's very, very hard to see it that way. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's just like, you know what? It's just, everything's against me. I don't understand. It's like I walk down the hall and I stub my toe, and it's like, really? How do I stub my toe on a flat wall? Well, if anybody could do it, I could figure it out. But having gratitude, being grateful for everything that's in your life will really help you stay positive. I mean, you'll look at things a whole different way. Mindfulness, basically dedicating the mind of consciousness awareness and enhancing your ability to focus. Consciousness and mindfulness kind of go together. If you understand where you are and the decisions you make, that is going to help you, because everybody fails. That's the thing that you have to understand. Everybody makes makes the wrong decisions, bad mistakes. It doesn't matter. We're human. That is just what's going to happen. But if you have the mindfulness of accepting, okay, I made that decision. All right, what can I do? Sometimes you had to fix it. Sometimes it costs you money. Sometimes it costs you a relationship. That's just the way it is. I mean, nobody likes it. Nobody likes to hear no. Nobody likes to know that you failed or you messed up. Just know that if you're mindful of those decisions and can accept them, you'll be able to move on better, and honestly you'll be a much happier person all the way across the board. So if you need me to basically expand on that a little bit more, you're welcome to email me. I'll help you with that one there. But the last one, the last characteristic is very, very probably one of the most important characteristics or traits that I have, that I live by, and it is integrity. The trait of being honorable, righteous, and straightforward instead of deceitful and self-serving. Integrity says so much about a person. If you do what you say you're going to do, people are going to have a lot of trust in you. If you can make those decisions, that whether good or bad, if you can make them, that says a lot for your integrity. When I say something about a person, I live up to it. I try to be honorable. I try to tell the truth all the time. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm probably 99% at it. There's been times that being honorable, saying the right thing, doing the right thing has cost me friends, has cost me family members, has cost me jobs. But in the end, in my book, and this is old world thinking again, your integrity is everything. What somebody thinks of me, I mean, I try not to get wound up too much of what the whole world thinks of me, because that can just get to you. It's like, oh my goodness sakes, that's overwhelming. But if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say I can do it, I do it. If I say I have done it, then that means I did it. If somebody asks me, well, did you really do that? Yes, I did. Everything that's just the truth. To me, I know that seems kind of weird, but my level, I try to have an extremely high level of integrity. 100% is the best. I try to, I try to hold at 99%. So when I say I did something, I did it. Or if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I've had so many people come up and ask me questions, and I said, okay, do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to sugarcoat it? And most of them will say, tell me the truth. And I've hurt people, just by saying it, because I'm very honest. You don't have to be brutal about it, but you can be honest with them. And we all know honesty can be a little tough to swallow from time to time. And I admit that there's been times that people have been honest with me, and it's just like, oh, okay, that hurts a little bit. But when all's said and done, I respected them for telling me the right thing. And that's where integrity comes from. And that gives you another positive mindset that helps keep negativity pushed out of the way, and it's going to allow you to give you the strength to get through on your weight loss journey. And even if you're not doing a weight loss journey, that's going to help you get through life, because the more people can trust you because of that there and stuff there, honestly, they're going to rely on you more. They're going to think highly of you. And to me, that, like I said, that's old world thinking, but that's just the way I was basically programmed, and I believe 100% in integrity. So that's one thing I always look for when I had my employees and other bosses and stuff. There is, did they throw me under the bus, or did they stand beside me and say, oh nope, this is a decision we made together, we got it, and we both bear the ramifications of it all. So when all's said and done, they're basically, when you start seeing things from a different point of view, make sure it's a positive one. Like I said, it's not possible to always be 100% positive. It's just not there. Once in a while, you get a bad thought that strays through, or you say something negative, or you just have a rough day. Well, that's just the way it is. We're human. We're not perfect, but keep striving for that perfection, and you'll be a much better, person all the way. And just remember, a smile will go a long ways to helping yourself and others. It looks good on you. Just do whatever you can to try to be there for other people, help where you can. I know it's not always reciprocated, but just know that it reflects good on you, and you'll feel better at it. Feel better at the end of the day, knowing, hey, I did everything I could. So, all right, third section. Last one. Take that vacation you so desperately need and have earned. Just so you know, last year I was 47 years old, and it took me 47 years to take my very first vacation. My family and I, we went to the New England states, and we went through 6 states total, and we got to explore new country, new food. We saw new things. It was absolutely gorgeous. All the people we met out there in in New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York. We stayed in the upper part of New York, so we didn't actually go into New York City. But everybody that we met there was fantastic. They were amazing. They were so helpful. They were so talkative. In fact, there was many times that I got stuck talking to somebody from one of the locals there, and they would tell me about the area, which I respected so much about that, because in this day and age it's really, really hard to talk to people, and I think that's really a lost art, especially with our younger generation, because they weren't taught how to talk to people. They weren't taught to how to have a conversation. Everything is via text, via email, and it's not their fault. It's just everything's instant anymore. Everything has to be done through a website or an app. You lose that communication. We don't talk on the phone hardly anymore. But these folks were fantastic. They were absolutely amazing. We had so much fun. We went to so many different restaurants. One rule that we had is we always had breakfast to save money. We would have the breakfast at the motel and stuff there, what they were having. So lunches, we would just have something easy, nothing too fancy. But one thing that we agreed on is every night we had to go to a very, very nice restaurant. We tried all kinds of different restaurants, all kinds of different food. Like me, I'm not a seafood fan, but it was really, really hard not to try it out there in Maine when you were right there. One of the places was an Italian restaurant. I wish I remembered the name, but I can't remember what it was. But it was right there. You literally could see the ocean. They literally, whatever they served, caught right out of that ocean, drove 2 blocks to their restaurant, and they served it. It was amazing, and I tried it, and it's so much different than out here in the middle of Podunk, where everything has to be shipped in, where you lose some of that flavor. The folks here, they do a fantastic job trying to preserve it, but there's just something about, hey, your supper is only an hour old. It was right out of the ocean, and it was really cool. We saw some beautiful mountains. Beautiful. It was some days it snowed, some days it rained. There was always some fog. Then there was sunny days, and it was incredible. It was an incredible breath of air. And most of us don't take the time to go on vacation. Now, can I do vacations all the time? No. Am I going to be able to have a ton of them? No. Maybe another one, and then because I can't afford anymore. But you don't have to give that time back. One thing that I made the mistake with my old job is, when all said and done, I gave a month and a half of vacation back to the company, because I felt that if I left the place was going to burn down. It just wouldn't function, and that's a wrong way of thinking, because when I left, I walked out. I couldn't take it anymore. I was too stressed out. I had two mild heart attacks because of it, and they didn't care. So all I did was like, you know what, I'm done, and I walked out one day because I'd had enough of all the emails and the snarky comments, and I was done. But I really regret giving that month and a half back in vacation time. I won't ever do that again. My current job there, I make sure I utilize it. I take time off, and just know you don't have to go crazy like what I did. My son and his partner, they went down to Denver here a couple weekends ago, and they just spent 4 days down there. They went down for a concert. They had a bunch of fun. They stayed in different hotels, tried different restaurants. They just enjoyed it, and they just got away from all the normal hubbub and the bills and the jobs and everything else. While they were gone, I took 4 days, and all I did was stay home. I didn't hardly even move from home. I would do things around here. I ended up doing 3 podcasts. I fixed some things around here, but it was such a nice, relaxing 4 days off. I basically hardly even saw anybody, so it was nice and quiet. My phone wasn't going off. Those are the kind of things, you don't have to go someplace and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a vacation. You can stay home, go to a park, rent a cabin. And go up for a weekend. Those aren't normally too bad and stuff there. We live in a very the whole area that I live in is all tourist attractions. That's all it is. We're tourist based. So, take the weekend and go play tourist. Go to some places that you've never been to. We take them for granted. Like, we live next to Mount Rushmore, next to Crazy Horse. We have all these beautiful places, and we take them for granted because we live next to them and we don't go see them. So that's one thing that I try to do, is I try to go up and see new places, try some different foods. We have a lot of great local restaurants. That's things that you can do for your vacation. A lot of it doesn't take a lot of money, but you get out and you get the stress and the anxiety off of you, which ultimately is going to help you maintain your weight loss journey. I know it sounds funny, but that all goes towards helping your positive outlook and your positive mental thoughts, and keep the negative self-talk and negative thoughts at bay, and keep them pushed out. So all I can say is take the time off that you have been awarded. Go live. I mean, I've got people that I've known, they're young, they're still in their 20s and stuff, and they're terrified to go do anything. Go explore. If you want to go to Cancun, go to Florida, go to whatever it is, go to Hawaii. Hawaii's beautiful. I got family over in Hawaii. Good Lord, that is a beautiful culture over there. Oh, wow. I just absolutely love that. It's too warm for me because I'm, cold-blooded, so I absolutely love the cold. But my hope is someday is to go see Alaska, where it's a little bit colder, and get up there. But you can go do that. Go live. I mean, there's no reason to, because there's the old way of thinking. One of them that I don't quite agree with anymore is you have to be married by 18. You got to have your career by 22. You got to have kids by 28. So you got to have a home by 25. I just don't agree with that anymore. If that's what you want, you go right on ahead. But I'm so kind of envious of the younger generation, because they're going out and living. They're going out and doing things. And I think that is so cool. That's what you should do. You should be living your life before you decide. I mean, yeah, having a family is great. I couldn't imagine not having my son and having a family. But I wish I would have gotten out a little bit and learned. I was too introverted, where I just stayed home, and I didn't know how to process those feelings when I was so young. I didn't know what to do. So a lot of you out there and stuff there, you can take the risk, just go. And it doesn't mean you have to go for very long. Just go for a weekend. And just go. But make sure you take that vacation time. Don't give it back to the bosses. You've earned it. Don't feel guilty about taking the time off. Make sure it's guilt-free. When you walk out that door, you leave everything at that door, and then you go enjoy your life and do whatever it takes there to have fun. And like I said, like me, I like sitting around playing cards. We play card games. We play Skip-Bo and Uno and golf and, all that stuff there. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. You can make up some special meals at home, or go out to a nice restaurant and treat yourself, for goodness sakes. We have enough stress on us, and the more positive stuff that you can fill your life with, make sure you have positive friends. Make sure you have, and it's hard because there's a lot of you have family. You always have negative Nellies that are in there. Keep them out of your life if that's what it takes there. Protect your good energy, protect your positivity, do what it takes to protect your weight loss journey. That's what it comes down to. And that's what I do on a daily basis, is I make sure that nobody messes with that positive energy, because I need that to get through the day. That's why I went through and I got rid of all the grudges that I held, all the, I forgave people. That was actually really hard. But hey, by doing it, it helped my negative self-thoughts, and I've come a lot further because of it. So just make sure you take that time off and protect you. Make yourself happy. That will keep you healthy, keeps the stress, the anxiety off. Anything you can do basically to protect that, that's what you want to do. So all I can say is, if you're the youngsters, before you get tied down with a house and vehicle payments and everything there, go on a vacation. Go see the world. We have a lot of beautiful country that you can go see. I mean, we have 50 states. There's so much to see. I'm not sure you could see it all in a lifetime. So, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Sometimes just going 100 miles from your home, you're going to see all kinds of different things. You're going to meet different people. You're going to see, everybody does differently from the north to south to east to west. Everybody does things differently. They all talk different. They have different, things that they eat, ways that they do things. It's so awesome. When I got to go to the New England states, my God, I didn't want to come home. They were so amazing out there. When I went to Hawaii, I didn't want to come home. They have such a beautiful culture out there. So go live, go enjoy. And you can still maintain your healthy eating and stuff while you're out there on the road. You just have to work at it a little bit more. But when you go to that that healthy that fancy restaurant, you can order healthy food. It's amazing. You can get all kinds of good things. So all I can say is go live a little bit, enjoy a little bit. Make sure that it's guilt-free. Don't worry about your job. The job will be there when you get back. The bosses are still going to need you when you get back, and just go live for yourself, because ultimately that you'll have a longer life, a healthier life, a happier life. It just all the way around, it'll keep the negative self-thoughts at you. The mind games will fall away, and all I can say is you'll be better off, I think, all the way across the board, because I know it helped me. So I'm going to end. I'm looking at the time on the monitor here, and I'm pretty well out of time. So I'm going to end the podcast here. I hope it's something that you've enjoyed listening to. Just remember, you've got this. I believe in you. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to cross that finish line. You're going to be happy. You're going to achieve the goal that you're looking for, and you'll get there. Remember, it takes time. All the weight didn't go on overnight, so it's not going to come off overnight. So just remember, keep the positive thoughts going, and by being positive, for listening to the podcast, make sure, no matter what platform you're on, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you comment on the pages, please. I want to hear from you. Pictures, if you want to send them in, we can put them on the Facebook page if you want me to show the progress that you're doing, so that way you get some positive reinforcement, and we're behind you. That's what I want to do to try to help. So that's what I do these podcasts for, is I'm not doing it for any other reason but to help people. That's what I enjoy doing. So make sure you leave positive comments, no matter what platform you're on. If you can give a 5-star rating, give a 5-star rating, whatever it is. I don't know them all out there, but it just helps get, basically move me up in the ranks, so that way we can extend out to more new potential family members. That's what I want to do, to try to help as many people as we can. They need to know the positivity of our family, that we are growing, and we want to help everybody. So do whatever you can there to try to help out with that. So I'm going to end it there. We're going to talk about the last thing, as I always do, is the dad joke of the day. So here it is there to end the podcast. Did you know that I only know 25 letters of the alphabet? I don't know why. Roll your eyes. May take a second to get it, but you'll get it. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you listening to the podcast. You guys are absolutely the best. Thanks for always being there for me and all your comments. And as always, all my love and support, Sean.